Hello and welcome to the garden. My name is Lindsay and tonight we are going to talk about fertilizers. I tend to do what I like to call pretty much organic gardening. I did a video a couple weeks ago about organic pest control and I'll leave a link to that down below. So tonight I wanted to talk about fertilizers because there are so many fertilizers available to you at the hardware store or the big box store or even like the grocery store. And it's like, what do you buy? What do you not buy? If you want to stay organic, what's the best option? And the truth is there's tons of options for organic fertilizers. I have 4 down here at my feet right now. But there are so many options and these are all store-bought options. Now there's also things like worm castings and compost teas and just straight compost, things like that are not necessarily as widely available in a store as these products are I'm going to show. When I planted everything in my garden, I did use some compost. I used a mixture of compost that I made here and some composted cow manure that I bought in a bag at Menards. That seemed to work pretty well, but I have had to fertilize one other time. I'm gonna fertilize some things tonight. I'm actually probably gonna fertilize pretty much everything in the garden tonight and give everybody a good drink with some good water and some good fertilizer. So let's jump right in. I have a wide variety of plants. I have tomatoes, squash, peppers, beans, herbs, peas, cucumbers, melons. I think that's pretty much it. So I have a lot of different things. Now, some plants need other types of fertilizers. Things like leafy greens and things that you eat the tops of, or like the greens of, like lettuce and kale, spinach, arugula, chard, those types of things. Those may need a different type of fertilizer than like your regular other tomato plants and pepper plants might need. But there are a few things out there that are just like a good all-purpose fertilizer that are good to use on pretty much any plant you may need to fertilize. So I'm gonna show you the 4 that I keep on hand in my garage and what I use those for. So this first one I have is a pretty specialized and very specific fertilizer, and it is blood meal. So this is Job's Organic. This is a really good brand of organic fertilizers. They make a ton of different very specialized fertilizers, and they also make some really good just like general fertilizers. This is blood meal. This is a good source of nitrogen. So nitrogen is good for things, and it tells you on the back, it has directions. All these things will have directions on the back, which is super helpful. Fertilizers are not something you want to just like throw some in a bucket of water and hope for the best. You kind of want to make sure that you're at least estimating the right amount of fertilizer so you don't burn your plants. So this blood meal is good for things like berries, especially blueberries. This adds a lot of acid to the soil, and blueberries love acid. It says low-lying vegetables, and you can also just put this in compost, but it also says on this bag, do not use on peas, beans, or other legumes. It will pretty much stop them from producing. This is a good source of nitrogen, which is good for things like, on the bag, lettuce. So this is something you can put on your leafy greens. This is not necessarily water soluble, but I have in the past mixed it with water, and as long as you keep it like mixed up into a slurry, you can pour it on your plants. That's usually the way I do this. I will sometimes top dress my soil and kind of mix it in, but for the most part, I just make a slurry and water this in. That's not what it says to do on the bag, but that's what I've done in the past. The next one I have is this, another Job's Organic product. This is just called Vegetable and Tomato Granular Plant Food. This stuff is a pretty balanced, it's a 253, so it's a pretty balanced fertilizer. This is made from bone meal, processed poultry manure, and sulfate of potash. So this is 100% organic. This is why I like this Job's Organic brand. This is a granular fertilizer. You want to mix this into your soil before you plant. You can also top dress this. You can just kind of sprinkle it over the soil and just kind of like gently mix it in, and it will break down over time. The next one I use is something that I actually use quite a bit, and that is, this is a really old box. This is Burpee Organic, another good organic brand. This is just tomato and vegetable water-soluble plant food. This goes in a watering can. You put water on it and you water your plants with it. This is going to be the thing that's most similar to things like the box of Miracle Grow that you can buy, but this is organic. This is made with composted turkey litter, vegetable protein, hydrosate, feather meal, kelp, and sulfate of potash. So it has a lot of good stuff in it, including some fish, which is also really good for your plants. This is something that you can get at like Lowe's. Actually, I think that's where I got this, is probably Lowe's. This says right on the back, for best results, apply to soil and plants once every 7 to 14 days during a growing season using a watering can or hose and sprayer. I mean, it can't get much easier than that. All you do is put a tablespoon of this, it has a little scoop in it, put a tablespoon of this in your 1 gallon watering can like this one, and water away. I will use this quite a bit. I really like this stuff. It works really well, I think. This year though, I added another fertilizer to my list of fertilizers, and I really like it so far, and that is this. This is called fish fertilizer. It's made of fish, if you couldn't figure that out. So this stuff, I actually got this on clearance at Walmart last fall, and this is a liquid fertilizer. Liquid, it's in a bottle. You can also buy this in a gallon. This is a, how big are you? 1 quart, yeah, it says right there 1 quart. This is a 511. This is really high in nitrogen. So this is good to replenish the soil for plants that have been in the ground for a while. Things in pots, really like this. This, all you do is, it says on the back, all of these fertilizers have a little chart on the back to tell you how much to put. 2 tablespoons for a gallon of water. All you do, dump this in, put some water on top. I usually dump this in first and then put water on top of it instead of putting the water and then putting this in. I will warn you, this smells really bad. It smells like rotting fish because that's what it's made from. This is literally derived from fish solubles. So this is literally rotten fish and water, but it works super well. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you are watering your plants with any water-soluble fertilizer is to, 1, use a watering can, and 2, don't water the leaves. I know I've talked about this before. You really want to water at the base of your plants. It just works better. Your risk of disease is much lower, but especially when you're fertilizing, water at the base of all of your plants. This will help keep the fertilizer from sitting on the leaves. It'll actually get in the soil better, and it'll feed your plants better. So I am actually going to mix up some fish fertilizer, and I will show you how I'm gonna fertilize my tomato plants. So I have my watering can full of fertilizer here. You can see the fish fertilizer kind of foams up a little bit, but just make sure you get your watering can nice and full. This is a 1 gallon watering can. This came from like, I don't know, Walmart or Menards. These are like $3. And all I'm gonna do is just water at the base. I'm gonna give everything a pretty decently sized drink of fertilizer, just to give it a little snacky snack. That's pretty much all you have to do. So I'm gonna get to fertilizing. I hope this is helpful. I hope I didn't overwhelm you. Now, I know I said that I do things pretty much organic, and basically that just means I don't use things like Miracle Grow or other non-organic fertilizers, but if that's what you have, then use it. I mean, I feel like if you have fertilizer in your garage, go ahead and give it a try. If you're looking for a new fertilizer, try one of the ones that I talked about today. Probably the fish fertilizer or just the all-purpose water-soluble fertilizer will work. So I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I will try to help you out as much as I can. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.